Hello, Dr. Cohn. I'm so excited to have you on our summit.
Dr. Kokora, I am thrilled to be on your summit. I'm so proud of you guys for putting together such an amazing program. I've seen your lineup and just thrilled to be asked to be a part of it.
Yay! Awesome. So I'm going to read Dr. Cohn's impressive bio and then we will get started. So Dr. Cohn has been in practice for over 27 years. He is the founder of Cohn Health Institute. He is the Quantum Neurology Doctor of the Year, co-founder and chief product officer of 7.2, chairman, science advisory board, and director of product development at Secret. So just a couple things, just a couple things that you do. So what I wanted to do today is just dive in right away. So obviously our summit has a lot to do with the mind, body, and the spirit connection. And we have some people we're interviewing who do, it's almost all body and all spirit or all mind. But one of the coolest things about you and your practice is that you really incorporate all three as a chiropractor, which is awesome. So I'd love for you just to start off by telling us how you got into the type of chiropractic that you're into, using muscle testing and sort of looking at all three.
Well, I kind of knew I was going to be a chiropractor, believe it or not, since I was 16 years old. Not because my dad was a chiro or anything. I just was inspired at a career day in my high school by a chiropractor, not even knowing what they did, just other than the fact that this person said they would pay to do what they did. And outside of maybe rock stars and professional athletes, I've never seen anybody say that. So I'm like, wait, there's another thing? Because it was clear by 16 that I was not going to be a rock star or a professional athlete. So I'm like, okay, what do these guys do? And I just watched somebody just so thrilled with what they did. I watched people come to see them and have their life change. And I still didn't understand what he was doing. I just heard cracking sounds, and people just got smiles on their faces, and they would walk out to a desk and drop off money and leave after they gave him a hug and thanked God for them. So I'm like, what is this?
Wow.
It's the most amazing thing ever. And so, I just, I want to do this because I wanted to have the feeling that this person got to have every day. And, as we say these days, there's no better feeling you'll ever have than someone else's life being better because you had an influence on it, as we do. And a lot of the docs on your summit get to do that every day with the things that they do. And we at the Cohn Health Institute, as you know, definitely get to do that. Now, this guy back then was really just on the structural side of health. He didn't really do anything on the emotional side. I didn't see any supplements or nutrition or diet recommendations go down in his office. But, what's happened over the last 20 some odd years and even longer is that 100 years ago when chiropractic started, or 100 plus, I mean, you were able to really just adjust somebody and you would see miracles happen. And you still can adjust people and see miracles happen. But now it's different. It's different because, back then, every food was organic because we didn't refrigerate things. We didn't preserve them. We didn't have anything genetically modified. We didn't radiate anything. So diet was always great. Everyone's diet was great. There was no such thing as soda. There was no such thing as these candies. There's no such thing as anything like there is today. So, and then emotionally, people did not seem to have the same level of stress that they do today. They didn't have the same level of input overload, distraction, social media, internet, the work stress. They did what they did. There was a little more work-life balance, I think, 100 years ago than there was today. And we'd have to deal with it. So now when you see people and you want to get people better, if you're not handling all three sides, you're going to miss it. The saying is, if all you have is a hammer, every problem's a nail. So, if I go to a chiropractor, everything needs to be adjusted. If I go to the nutritionist, everything's a supplement. If I go to the therapist, it's all in your head. But it's really pieces of all that. And the key, as you know, is thanks to, functional muscle testing and things like that, and tools like that, we get a little more insight of knowing what to do when and in what order, which really makes the magic happen for people more often than not.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe your first muscle testing experience? I'm not even sure I know this story, but how did you experience muscle testing and then know, okay, yeah, I've got to use this with everyone?
Well, my first, not everybody's first time was a good one. So Mine was not either. You know, I actually was told that I need to go see this lecture, not really see the person, but see this lecture about this stuff called applied kinesiology. Friends of mine said it was amazing and they would be right up my alley. So I went, was late on a, like I was tired, and the person who did the lecture was just awful. They were just bad at it. They were just not good at all, not enrolling. I actually got up and walked out because I thought it was stupid. It just looks stupid. It's still, you listen, I've been doing it, as you know, for close to 30 years, really. And it still looks stupid. It just does. It's just a silly looking thing. It just also happens to be the most amazing thing in the world.
Exactly.
If you really care about helping another human go from where they are to where they say they'd like to be. So that's the challenge. So, but fortunately, my friend stayed on me and said, okay, we got to see this other guy. And I did see this other guy, and it was pretty amazing. And then, you know, the piece of advice I got when I went to chiropractic school was that I need to go find the person that people are standing in line to see in clinic, find out what the top two things that person does, find out what he thinks or he or she thought the two biggest weaknesses were in the school, and to do nothing but focus on those two weaknesses. So
that's great.
The number one guy in the school was the best adjuster, and he did this thing called applied kinesiology. It was just a lot more interesting the way he did it. And he said the two biggest weaknesses in the school I went to, which is now more than ever, which is technique and philosophy, which is they weren't good at teaching you how to do these things like AK and chiropractic. And they just weren't good at it. You would think your chiropractic would be really good at teaching it, but no. And then the philosophy, which is the end of the day, the most important, which is the why. Why are you doing it? Why? Why does the world need it? Why does everyone need to get adjusted versus not? You know, and chiropractic is the largest drugless healing art in the world. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
But it is. It's also, in my opinion, this is mine, this is the only natural healthcare technique or therapy that has a philosophy, a creed, you know, which is ADIO, which stands for above, down, inside out, which is the foundation, which is that everyone's belief system is that there's something greater than us, that a higher power that communicates with us called universal intelligence, and we have an innate intelligence in our body that knows how to work and knows how to express the world and take cues from the world on how to be in it. And we can get interference in our connection to something above or a connection inside out to the world. And the goal of the chiropractor is to remove that interference. You know, and just like the father medicine Hippocrates, above all, do no harm. Just remove the interference and let God's greatest gift called this body of ours take over and do what it was designed to do. That's what it's all about.
It's awesome.
It's supposed to be what it's all about.
It's supposed to be what it's all about.
Every listener of this summit, it has that same experience at the chiropractor, you know.
But yeah, that whole idea of removing interference and then let the body do its thing, because it's way smarter than we are, basically. Absolutely. So one of my, and this kind of segues perfectly into it, one of my favorite talks you ever did, you're going to have to remind me, the greatest lie ever told. Right. It's actually our hold music at Cohn Health Institute. And I don't mind being put on hold, actually, because it's so inspiring. And it's one of those things that, even for me, it just like reminds me of why we do what we do. And so for all the people, we'll include some link where they can listen to it. But I want you to tell me about that talk, or tell everybody about that talk.
Well, yeah, it's probably the biggest, you know, at the end of the day, our whole goal for people is to help them get their power back. And we've, throughout our lives, given our power up to people, things, you know, mother, father, teacher, preacher, all the people that have influenced us. And we hope that they've, you know, influenced us well. And, you know, they all, at the end of the day, do the best they can with the resources that they've been given, and they pay it forward at how they best think. And, you know, my mom was a nurse, and so I thought she was an expert in health because nurses are experts in health. That's what I'm told. Or later found out they're experts in disease care, which is something completely different than health. And I thought health was this cabinet in the bathroom that had 5 shelves in it. You open it up, and it had a drug for every single thing that you would ever bitch about. Everything, you know? So we had, you know, This, that hurts, take this. That hurts, take that. That's a fever, do this. That's bleeding, take that. You know, this is coming out too fast, take this. This is not coming out at all, take that. You know, so, and what happens is people think and they believe after playing this game for a while that health comes from the outside in, and really it comes from the inside out. And the greatest lie ever told is that if I don't have symptoms, I'm healthy, which is a lie. If I don't have symptoms, all I can say about my body is that I am asymptomatic. And this is the epiphany that everyone needs to have, because, you know, 40-some-odd% of America will die of a heart attack, but for most of them, their first symptom is death, a fatal heart attack. So if you're waiting for your symptoms to tell you how you're doing, it's a poor plan. A tumor could grow in a woman's breast for 8 years before it's visible on a mammogram. For 8 years, her doctor tells her she's fine. But for 8 years, she'd be growing something in her breast that could eventually kill her when the medical test of the day tells her she's fine.
Right.
She's not fine. You know, in China, they say don't wait until you're thirsty to dig a well, which means it's easier to stay well than it is to get well. So that's our goal with everybody. Our goal with everybody is to show them how smart their body is, that it was designed to heal itself, and that they should be aware. And so there are things that exist. There are practitioners. There are people that have made an art, a living out of helping people figure out through this biofeedback way, different kinesiological techniques, what's happening in somebody before it happens. I mean, you know, there are lab tests and blood tests and MRIs, CAT scans, and ultrasounds, and, you know, stool tests, spit tests, and everything to give you all the information of what looks like it's happening, give you more of an insight, but not as much as dysfunction. So we're looking for when someone dysfunctions long before they have a disease. Because, you know, the problem is, Dr. Krikora, is that wellness is not sexy. It is not. It is just not sexy. You know, there's no TV shows. There's no Marcus Welby, ND, or House, DC. No, it's always the MD, right? So, I mean, you want people bleeding and their life saved and being impaled with something pulling out of their head. But, you know, here's the deal. You know, what's more exciting than having a tumor growing outside of your head magically go away and become some holistic therapy you did? What's more exciting than that is to never have a tumor growing out the side of your head. Much more exciting. The problem is there's nothing to celebrate. There's nothing to, you don't know when you're preventing something. So, I mean, if I have a car, I'd much rather drive it for 10 years without it breaking down rather than having a flat tire in the rain in the middle of the freeway, right?
Right.
I don't want it to break down. I want to know when the tire is low. I want to know if there's a nail in my path. I want to know that. And that's what we do. Yeah.
So awesome. But it's so true. It's like there's really not that much to celebrate when you're preventing some disease, yet when you are able to take something away or help heal it, it's so much more magical and exciting. I've never heard you say that before, wellness isn't sexy, but that's totally makes sense. And I think the other cool part that I really liked about that talk too was just all of the things that we take as that we don't question, I guess, like our tap water or the chemicals we use or the chemicals that we don't know are in something. And if you could speak a little bit about that too, that would be great.
Sure. First, let me remind you, as you know, at the Cohn Health Institute, we do make it sexy.
We do.
So
we do.
If you really want to see wellness at its sexiest, you got to come to the Cohn Health Institute. So that being said, but you already know that. So so yes, I mean, when I started 20-something years ago, the focus was, or a focus was, showing people that there are things that affect their body that are unseen to them. There are the things that are in our air, our water, and our food, the three areas that we lost control over. So I spent a lot of time educating people on the fact that they might want to filter their water. Why? Because the problem is when you look at water, it looks fine. It's the same as bottled water. They look the same. But just in the United States alone, when I recorded that CD, there was 2,000 toxic chemicals in our water that the EPA has listed a health advisory for. That's the ones they know. And when they combine with other chemicals, that makes a new chemical that's not even mentioned. And of those 2,000, over 200 were tumor promoters, carcinogens, mutagens, real nice things, right? Uh, people, we talk about air pollution. We live in LA, near LA, you land the plane and you can see the air. You're not supposed to see air. It's supposed to be clear, but we see it. Yay. Right. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is the indoor air, because you can see something as like dust, mold, pollen. You might have 14,000 dust mites living on just 1 ounce of dust. It's just nasty. They're like big, nasty teeth-looking bugs. You don't see them because they're microscopic, but you just like walk in the corner of a room and just go suck in about 1,000 of them right then, and not even know you did it. Just wondering why. Just your eyes are itchy and just whatever. It's just nasty. We don't know. Doesn't mean it's not there, and our food is just atrocious. It's not even food anymore. It's frankenfood. I mean, we're eating things we're all lab experiments, eating genetically modified foods that will change our gut and our microbiome forever, which I'm sure you have other beautiful people on this summit that are going to be talking about it.
Oh, we sure do. That's like the new thing.
It's the thing.
It's the thing. But I mean, what sort of things do you, so if a patient comes in and we use muscle testing and it comes up, their water is affecting them. They're like, I have these symptoms. How is it that my water is affecting me? Or these chemicals? I mean, what sort of symptoms do you see from people that experience like just drinking the wrong kind of water, or like you said, breathing in thousands of dust mites? It might not be a stuffed up nose, right? Like, what other sorts of things do you see in your patients from these everyday things?
Well, the truth of the human body is anything could cause anything. So what happens is people come in with something as simple as a headache, but it could have 100 different causes. We have homeopathic vials where we used to pre-screen people to see if any of these things could be contributing to their headache. So someone could have a headache because of an infectious agent like bacteria, fungus, yeast, parasite, mold, something like that. They could have it from a toxic chemical like a chlorine or a formaldehyde or an alcohol or an excipient that's in their shampoo or their skincare products or their personal care products or fluoride in their toothpaste. People could have a heavy metal from toxicity from the paint in their house to the pipes in their older house to the fillings in their teeth to a vaccination they might have got when they were young. So these things all add up to this toxic soup and contribute to what's going on. Again, we lean on functional muscle testing to give us information about what to do when, as far as helping them through these different things and detoxifying these things. But they're everywhere. And so whether somebody comes in and they have a terminal illness or somebody comes in and their knee hurts, they're treated the same way, which means that anything could cause it. So we're not fixing the knee, we're not fixing their illness. We don't treat diseases, we treat people and find out what's not working in their body, getting it to work, and find out what they're missing and get it in them, and find out what they're toxic in and clean it out, find out what they're emotionally stuck on and help them get free of it, find out where they're off physically and help them create balance and nervous system order.
Perfect. Yeah, no, it's exactly it. Explain a little bit more of what to treat when. I mean, I like when I first started working at Cohn Health Institute, and Dr. Cohn has this weekly health class that he does, and he's been running this thing for 27 years, and he calls it the longest running show of Costa Mesa. And I've completely taken that line because it makes people laugh every time. It's great. And what better way to start the class than to get people laughing? But, you talk about the onion, and I think it's just one of the most powerful models to explain of how to treat when. And could you explain that a little bit more for people?
Well, using certain what we call priority type reflexes, using applied kinesiology and other allied techniques, you can get information about what to do when, which is so important, because the right thing done at the right time on the right person is a miracle, and the right thing done on the wrong time on even the right person is a problem. And so you can be well-meaning, do something that a lab test or blood test showed that that person looked like they needed, and screw them up. Because it's like a combination to a safe. If you have all 6 numbers, but you jumble the numbers, you're not going to open the safe. So it didn't matter that you knew what to do. It didn't matter that you had all the information. If you didn't have it in the right order, it's not going to work. It's kind of like if you and your 12 friends at your work go on a cleanse, right? We all do the same exact cleanse, you know, 2 people are feeling amazing, 2 people are vomiting in the bathroom, 3 have headaches, 2 have constipation, 1 has diarrhea, the other 2 feel good. You know, so what's the difference? It was the same cleanse. The difference is the person that cleansed. So obviously the person who's vomiting might have had something else they needed done first, or they're moving things too much too fast and it's dumping out of their liver into their system and they can't modulate it or move it. Maybe their lymph is congested. You never really know. Somebody's having headaches, might be subluxated, and that's their issue, and it didn't come out until they tried to detoxify a heavy metal that was in there because of a tooth or whatever. So you kind of, if you do it in the right order, magic happens. You do it in the wrong order, it does. It's like you'll see people go, I've been to a naturopath, I've been to chiropractic, I've been to acupuncturist, and then you get the result, but then they'll come, they'll see you, and they'll get the result, and they go, I don't understand. And you may have done this, look like the same things, but you did them in the right order rather than just do that thing, hoping it was going to work out. You know, if someone's, looks like they're toxic with, a chemical or a heavy metal, and then you give them something to detoxify that, but they have a leaky gut or they have compromised blood-brain barrier because of a concussed situation or whatever it is, you're actually going to make that person worse more often than not because they are not in a strong enough state. If someone's adrenal fatigue or it's adrenal overload or burnout, and you try and do something therapeutic cleansing, you're going to make them worse because you need to increase the energy of that person first so that they're strong enough to actually detoxify from the very thing that got them there to begin with.
So true. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you for explaining that. And the other thing I'd really like you to go into, I mean, we talked about the 2 other positions you have, a 7.2 in secret, is alkalinity. And that's kind of becoming a little bit more of a buzzword, and I think people are starting to get it a little bit more. But can you actually explain? Because there are parts of our body that we would like to be acidic, and then there are parts of our body that overall we'd like to be alkaline. So can you explain why we want to get into that state?
So well said. Yes, we push that people move towards an alkaline lifestyle. I was just drinking my own alkaline shake right there, and the reality is that people miss it. They miss it because they confused about human physiology. We all know that your blood should be a pH of 7.365, and it doesn't go too high or too low, maybe a fraction of a point at any one time. If it went too high or too low, you'll probably die. And so your body will always know to buffer it. So when you try and talk to your average classically trained medical doctor about why they should be alkaline, people think they're crazy. The doctors go, what are you talking about? The blood's always the same. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking about more often the tissues. And then when it comes to the blood, you're talking about at what expense? Because your body has to buffer it. You have to buffer the blood. It doesn't happen on its own. So you need alkalizing minerals to buffer the blood. They have to come from somewhere. Where do they come from? I don't know. Maybe that magnesium's coming from your heart. Maybe that potassium's coming from your adrenal glands. Maybe that calcium's coming from your bones. And maybe that's why you have those health issues. And so when you supplement alkaline water, alkaline minerals, alkaline nutrition like raw green foods, you find that people do better because not only are the foods we're eating highly acidic, like the pasta, the bread, the meat, but it is our thoughts are, meaning like stress, emotional stress is your greatest acidifier. It's not even the foods you eat. So you can have somebody who's a raw food vegan, paleo, and macro, and everything you could possibly try and be in one diet, and still die younger than anybody else because they're miserable, because they hate their life, or they hate their spouse, or they're disconnected from their family, or estranged from God, or whatever their thing is, why their life is so terrible. And it'll kill people fast because it's acidic thoughts. And when someone's highly stressed, their body and their blood and their tissues will test more acidic. So yes, at 7.2, we created like an alkaline program made simple so anybody can do it, whether you're 2 or 92 or everyone in between. And then the evolution of that was discovering molecular hydrogen, which the alkaline water people had a hint of it because their alkaline water filters release hydrogen, molecular hydrogen at the end of electrolysis. And in Japan, it's like a household word. In Japan, it's the greatest thing since vitamin C. And America's just waking up to the super antioxidant, super anti-inflammatory, this amazing molecule called hydrogen, and that's the pH stands for potential of hydrogen. So it's I think the world is awakening to that. If not, they are enamored with Tom Brady and how he's played all these years and as America's quarterback, and outwardly spoken outwardly in Sports Illustrated how he lives 100% on an alkaline diet. So, however you get there, you should get there.
And if it's Tom Brady, then
Even if
that's
it's
great.
Tom Brady. Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about molecular hydrogen. What does it do in the body? I think people are starting to also really get inflammation, that all these lovely diseases and diagnoses that people get that end in itis, and it's just like, okay, it's inflammation of here, it's inflammation of here, and I think people are starting to understand that more. So alkalinity, great way to like take some inflammation down. But talk about the molecular hydrogen piece a little bit more.
Well, I mean, in our clinic, we have over 2,000 supplements from 100 different companies from around the world. I would have to say that our product called Recovery, it's just a molecular hydrogen tablet, that's probably the most used product in the clinic. It wasn't always, but it is now, only because it has such uses. Molecular hydrogen is what's called a selective antioxidant. And so a lot of people know antioxidants because of acai berries or, whatever turmeric or whatever they're doing, resveratrol or, pomegranates. And, those are one-to-one antioxidants. A selective antioxidant is something that's, number one, is exponential, meaning like you can squelch, millions of oxidants with one hydrogen molecule, which is confounding to people. Yeah. For one. Number two is it's a selective antioxidant. Now, we do need some signaling between molecules. We need some communication between cells. So when you have just a blanket antioxidant that you're taking nothing but antioxidants, you're actually disrupting the communication between your own cells too if you're not careful. So what a selective antioxidant does, it's kind of like fire. Fire can be good or fire can be bad. If your house is burning down, it's probably a bad day with you and fire, right? If your pilot light's on because you're starving and you want to cook food, probably a good relationship between you and fire. So what molecular hydrogen does, it's a selective antioxidant. It knows how to see when the house is burning down and put it out, the fire out, but still leave the pilot light on so you can cook your food.
It's awesome.
And it's what's called a smart molecule. The other thing is that it's a gas. People like yourself who use, have used ozone and know about ozone and it's great healing. One of the things that makes it works so much faster than just taking an herb is that it's a gas that go right inside your cells within seconds. Hydrogen is the same thing, but you can just taste it. As soon as it hits the saliva again, and when it hits your stomach acid, releases molecular hydrogen nanobubbles, which are so small to go right inside to the mitochondria of your cells, which is why not just people are taking it to recover their health, but athletes are taking it for increased performance and recovery from their given sport.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, there's a lot of those products that are sort of like, wow, work instantaneously, and that's just one of them. Somebody hurts something, and it's the same idea when, going back to muscle testing for a second, when you say it looks a little bit like a magic show, and everyone's like, oh, yeah. I mean, I kind of think of recovery as that same idea. It's a little magic.
Yeah, it freaks people out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What are some steps that a person can do or that they can take to start getting their diet more alkaline and get their body into more of an alkaline state?
Well, I mean, the best thing to do is to eat raw green foods. That's the way God intended it. The problem is that, we always have a joke to saying that most people remember the first time they had wheatgrass because it's usually the last time they had it. They just felt like they licked the bottom of their lawnmower and couldn't spit it out fast enough. They said, I don't care how many lives this is going to save. It ain't going to save this life, right? So, because it's just because we're ruled by our palate. So, I mean, obviously, 7.2, we made greens that taste good. You can eat them right out of the container. So that's number one is that, and then there's alkaline water people can use. I mean, we have alkaline water units in our office and in our home because sometimes it's good to just do it that way. Now, if you're living on it, you're carrying jugs around every day and you're that person, you might be overdoing it. So there's a little bit of a balance. But for most of us, one of the more popular fun products that we kid around about is this product called Alkaline Booster, which is it's chock full of alkaline minerals. So very high pH product. It's it's been nicknamed the hall pass because college students have figured it out because they can, tie it on a Tuesday night and get up in the morning like they didn't have it, that they weren't out and hit their 8 o'clock calculus class or advanced calculus class just because they took their alkaline boosters before they go to bed. So we always have we judge the kind of night we had out based on how many alkaline boosters we needed to get up in the morning. Like we didn't do it to ourselves. So, the average person takes like 4, but if you're having the cocktail before, and then you have the bone-in ribeye, and then you follow it up with the bread that you had to have with it because it's warm pretzel bread, and then they had your favorite cheesecake, and then you had the after-dinner drink, and you had wine. So you're slamming 8 to 10 boosters, but you're getting up like, hey, I'm good. Yeah. So
it's another one of those magical things.
Another fun one. Yeah. It's when needed, break glass. Yeah. Take supplement.
I love it. So you've been in practice for 27 years, and we have a pretty high volume clinic, so you see a lot of people. What is something that keeps you engaged and still so passionate about coming to work each day and like seeing all these patients? And what is something that just continually you either love like learning about, or you're feeling passionate about, or you're starting to see like maybe certain health trends in more of your patients? It's like, I need to get to the bottom of this. Why is this showing up more? I mean, what is it? What is something that's kind of, I don't know, lighting you up right now in practice? There's got to be something. It's 27 years, Dr. Cohn. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is just being in gratitude. It sounds so cliche-ish these days. I almost didn't want to say it. Like, everybody's so gratitude. I have so much gratitude, and you look at them miserable, right? So, like, tell your face you're feeling the gratitude. But seriously, it is. I pinch myself every day that we get to do this every day because this is crazy. I mean, to have people, tell you you're in their prayers at night because of how you've changed your family's life, and, daily. And there's really no excitement like new excitement. It's always that next person that never knew what could happen for them. And when they get their life back and they're crying at a health class because they've been suffering for 22 years and they saw it vanish before their eyes, and then they just reconcile mentally, like, whoa. Because we always say, when people come to the clinic, they're half excited and half pissed off. They're excited because they see resolution. They immediately pissed off because they reflect on the time, energy, money they spent doing stuff for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years that just did not do it for them. It made them worse many times. And like we always say, it's a lot easier to light a candle than it is to curse the darkness. So we say, hey, it could have been 5 years from now, so be happy. So, no, but really that's it. I mean, what always, we're all at the clinic a little dysfunctional because the thing that motivates us the most is not the 400 miracles. It's that one person that did not have the miracle. And then what keeps us up at night, not celebrating the 399 that, are celebrating their life. It's the one that didn't get better or got worse, or we didn't made us think like we didn't know what we were doing, or, oh my God, I don't know how to help this person. And it looked like it was simple and it wasn't. It's those things that always drive you. It gets you want to learn more because it's the not fixing somebody that makes you. We always tell people at the clinic, we're going to get better whether you like it or not, which means if we can't help you, we'll find the person that can. So the next you that comes in will know how to fix them or who to send them to. So that's obviously all of us have addictively learned too many therapeutic healing modalities because of people we could not fix. Or sometimes it was us that did not get better fast enough. Right, absolutely. Yeah. But that's like going back to muscle testing for a second. I mean, that's the craziest part about it is people will come in, like you said, you don't always have you don't always got what you have. Is that what you say? Something like that. Where like they walk in, they're like, this is my diagnosis.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, actually it's like this heavy metal you need to detoxify or whatever. And it's, how'd you find that? Oh, muscle, your arm told me all about it. Go into just before we wrap up here, because Dr. Cohn's busy guy. He's been traveling. I think you were just in Australia last week. Yeah. So thank you for giving us your time. And but go into just a little bit, explain muscle testing for people who don't know what it is, and kind of how we use their arm as a keyboard and all of that.
kind of like that. We use your body like a computer, your muscle like it's a keyboard, and what we're doing is it looks like we're testing to see how strong you are. We're not. We're just testing to see if it's functioning, which means is the brain telling the muscle how to contract, and is the muscle telling the brain adequately what's going on. And so we're looking for any interference. So it's kind of like if you get home to your house and you turn on 6 light switches and none of the lights come on, you don't think that serendipitously every light bulb decided to burn out at the same moment in time. That would be insane, right? No, you go, hey, I'm not an electrician, but I'm going to go in that garage and open up that gray box once I clear the cobwebs off, and I'm going to see all these buttons, and this button's to the left, this one's 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 to the right, and the rest are to the left. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't really have this class. So I'm like touching that button that's over here by itself. I'm like, maybe it's supposed to be there by itself. I don't know. So, but like nervously, the house is going to blow up, or all the lights are going to go out, and I won't be able to fix it. Or boom, I do it, and all the lights come on. Right? That's really what the muscle test is used for. Is we're looking for those circuits, looking for a circuit that was blown physically, nutritionally, emotionally, and then we're looking for because that's really the juice. The juice is turning on that circuit, so multiple things get better all at once. And so, and just like the circuit breaker example, if there's too many blow jars and curling irons plugged in, you're going to blow the circuit out again. So you're going to have to pull some plugs. That plug could be the gluten you're eating. The plug could be working 14 hours a day. That plug can be having no downtime or day and night with your spouse. That plug can be never unplugging. And going for a hike, take your shoes off, put it in the dirt, Yeah, any of that.
I love it. Dr. Cohn, thank you so much for giving us your words of wisdom after all your years, being in the trenches, seeing patients day in and day out. It's awesome.
Well, I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to be on your summit. I'm very proud of you for doing it, and the future looks bright for you, Dr. Kokora.
I'm
excited
you.
for all the work you're doing with all these great people. So
thank you. Where can people find you? What's your, they find you on Instagram,
Facebook, Dr. Howard Cohn, Cohn. You can find me there. I'm on Facebook. The Cohn Health Institute is Cohn Aesthetics. I mean, we have a lot of different Cohn activities here where you can find it. 7.2, now Secret Direct, global, just traveling around the world, letting them know what we do. Yeah,
so awesome.
Fun stuff.
Thank you so much. All right. Appreciate you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.